Welcome to the House of Representatives. Your safety is our top priority. Please take a moment to familiarize yourself with our emergency exit plan. First, remember that illuminated exit signs will always show you the way. Please remain calm and follow these signs in an orderly manner. Now, for your specific location. If you are on the plenary floor, exits are at both ends, leading to the north and south wing lobbies. You may also use the main entrance glass doors, which open toward the flagpole area. If you are in the middle gallery, your primary exit is through the main entrance glass doors, located near the flagpole area. If you are in the second or third floor galleries, in addition to the main door on your level, emergency exits are located at the ends of the seat rows on both the east and west sides. All these exits will lead you to the main hallway stairways, going down to the main entrance and out to the flagpole area. A quick guide. If you are on the south side of the gallery, turn right as you go through the emergency exit. If you are on the north side, turn left. Both will lead you towards the main hallway stairways. If you are seated at the rostrum, your nearest exits are on the north and south sides, leading directly to the rear entrance lobby and out to the helipad area. Finally, if you are unable to leave the plenary hall, do not panic. Essential safety items, a hard hat, whistle, bottled water, and flashlight are readily available under your table for your immediate use. Thank you for your attention. Your safety is our shared responsibility.
Session's called to order. Everybody is requested to please rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa
Everybody is requested to remain standing for an invocation to be led by Congresswoman Victoria Copilar.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Almighty God, source of all wisdom and truth, we humbly place ourselves under your guiding presence. As we stand at the moment of profound responsibility, we seek your guiding light as we discharge our solemn duties today, ever mindful of the trust placed upon us by the people we serve. Please grant us clarity of mind that is steady, discernment that is clear, hearts strengthened by integrity, and spirits anchored in humility. Guide our words and actions so that may be free from fear, prejudice, or personal interest, rooted instead in fairness, truth, and respect for the rule of law. As we deliberate on matters of great consequence, may we be ever mindful that our authority is a trust, and that every decision we render echoes beyond this hall and into the life of our nation. May our decisions strengthen our democratic institutions. May it preserve the trust of the public, and may it uphold the dignity of every person. All this we ask as we continue with our work in the service of the common good. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members. Abalos. Abante. Asidre. Acosta. Adyong. Advincola. Agarao. Agyao. Alano. Alba. Albano. Almario Chino Miguel. Almario Dennis. Almonte. Alvarez Jose. Alvarez Mercedes. Amante. Amatong. Angara. Angeles. Aquino. Aquino Magsaysay. Arbison Munir. Arbison Munir Jr. Arenas. Arrogancia. Asistio. Ataide. Aumentado. Ayon. Bagao. Balindong. Banyas Nograles. Bangkoro. Barba. Barbers. Baronda. Baskug. Bautista Claude. Bautista Johan Munich. Bautista Lim. Beltran. Benitez Alfredo. Benitez Javier Miguel. Bernos Ching. Bernos JB. Biron. Bocobo. Bolilia. Bondok. Briones. Bulut Begtang. Cagas. Calderon. Calixto. Kawagdan, Cary, Castro, Caiton, Celeste, Sendanya, Ceniza, Jan Franz Norbert Joselito Almario, Chan Junard, Chua, Chuatay, Chungalao, Ko Pilar, Juanco Jaime Eduardo Mark, Juanco Mark, Coliantes, Corvera, Cruz Agatha, Cruz Ricardo, Cruzado, Kua, Dagoo, Dalog, Dayang Hirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Lima, De Venecia, Defensor, De Gamo, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Di Macuja, Di Maguila, Di Maporo Imelda, Di Maporo City Yamina, Jokno, Jonicio, Domingo, Domogan, Duterte Harold James, Duterte Omar Vincent, Duterte Paolo, D. Faustino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Elago, Emano, Enverga, Erice, Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Jeffrey, Flores, Fortes, Frasco, Fresnedi, Fuentebella, Galang, Galeos, Garbin, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Karen Hope, Garcia Maria Angela, Guardiola, Garin, Gatchalian, Gato, Glepa, Go, Gomez, Gonzales Alexandria, Gonzales Eliza Micaela, Gonzales Christopher Sheen, Gonzales Roy, Goriseta, Gico, Gintu, Gulias, Gutierrez, Hernandez Charis Ann, Hernandez Dennis, Hernandez Ferdinand, Hernandez Ramil, Hofer Hasim, Horibata, Ismula, Iway, Javier, Co Antonio, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Kong Hoon, Ko, Laban-Laban, Lacson, Lagbas, Lagdameo Jose Manuel, Lagdameo Monique Yasmin Maria, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sunny, Lara, Lazatin, Ledesma, Legacion, Legarda, Legazpi, Leviste, Libanan, Lopez, Loria, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Macapagal Arroyo, Makasay, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangudadatu, Maniquis, Marañon, Marcoleta, Marcos, Marquez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Mercado Revilla, Miraflores, Momo, Montes, Nava, Nazal, Nisay, Nolasco, Waminal Henry, Waminal Sancho Fernando, Odocado, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Oreta, Ortega, Owano Dizon, Padiernos, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Perez, Pimentel, Plaza, Pleito, Poe, Primicia Sagabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Recto, Rehencia, Remulia, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Jolo, Ridon, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Eulogio, Rodriguez Maximo, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romualdez Andrew Julian, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sally, Salvacion, Salvador, Salvame, San Fernando, Santos Maria Alana Samantha, Santos Mark Anthony, Shimura, Singson Rochelle, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Suwan, Swansing Bella Vanessa, Swansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Suntay, Talyado, Tan Aman, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Micah, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Chay, Tan Watko, Tariela, Teodoro, Tereng, Teves, Tiangco, Tieng, Tino, Tolentino, Tuan, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor, T, Umali, Ungab, Uy De Carlo, Uy Roberto, Valeriano, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Veloso, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villafuerte Vincenzo Renato Luigi, Villanueva, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Arthur, Yap Christopherson, Yap Eric, Yap John G. Snell, Yatko, Inares, Yu Jazel Victoria, Yu Joseph Kim, Yulo, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri. Mr. Speaker, the roll call shows that 278 members responded to the call.
With 278 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of the quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to defer the reading and approval of the journal of the previous session.
Is there any second? There any objections? There being none, motion's approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to proceed with the reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions on first reading, as well as communications and committee reports.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The Secretary General is hereby directed to read the titles of the bills, resolutions and first readings, as well as messages and communications and committee reports for the referral to the appropriate committee.
Reference of business. Bills on first reading. House Bill 7571, establishing a national online safety and digital child protection framework, creating the Philippine E-Safety Commission, by Representative Miraflores.
To the Committee on Information and Communication Technology and the Committee on Welfare of Children.
House Bill 7572, establishing a policy and framework to transform the province of Aklan into a smart province with province-wide internet connectivity, streamlined telecommunications infrastructure, development, and integrated digital government services, by Representative Miraflores.
To the Committee on Information and Communication Technology.
House Bill 7573, establishing national and provincial VITI autism centers, by Representative Miraflores.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7574, defining political dynasty, prohibiting the establishment thereof, and providing safeguards against nepotism and executive appointments, by Representative Lacson.
To the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms.
House Bill 7575, amending the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, by Representative Macapagal Arroyo.
To the Committee on Ecology.
House Bill 7576, declaring April 20 of every year a special non-working holiday in the municipality of Burgos, province of Pangasinan, to commemorate its foundation day, by Representative Celeste.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 7577, strengthening digital education access and institutionalizing teacher digital skills training in public schools, by Representative Tiangco.
To the Committee on Information and Communication Technology, the Committee on Basic Education and Culture, and the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 7578, strengthening the Eastern Samar State University College of Law, by Representatives Libanon and Gonzales Christopher Sheen.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 7579, amending Section 386 of the Local Government Code of 1991, by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Health. To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 7580, establishing malasakit centers in private hospitals, by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7581, institutionalizing the grant of internship allowance for students in public and private state universities and colleges in the Philippines, by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 7582, to accelerate the discovery and development of innovative medicines by strengthening clinical trials, by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7583, amending the Coconut Farmers and Industry Trust Fund Act, by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 7584, protecting the vocal and facial identity of persons against virtual impersonation and deepfake recordings and images, by Representative Cojuangco Jaime Eduardo Mark.
To the Committee on Information and Communication Technology.
House Bill 7585, increasing the authorized campaign expenses of candidates and political parties, by Representative Wominal Sancho Fernando.
To the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms.
House Bill 7586, establishing the Misamis Occidental Special Economic Zone in the 2nd District of the Province of Misamis Occidental, by Representative Wominal Sancho Fernando.
To the Committee on Economic Affairs and the Committee on Trade and Industry.
House Bill 7587, establishing job placement offices in higher education institutions and other employment-promoting institutions to strengthen employment facilitation, by Representatives Yap Eric and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill 7588, ensuring the welfare and protection of BPO workers and the recognition of their rights as provided for in the Labor Code of the Philippines, by Representatives Yap Eric and Yap Edvic.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill number 7589, 7590, 7591, 7592, 7593, 7594, and 7595, establishing a functional, fully equipped, responsive, spacious, and modern barangay health stations in certain barangays in the province of Misamis Occidental, by Representative Wominal Sancho Fernando.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7596, granting a franchise to the Mountain Province Electric Cooperative for the conveyance of electric power to the end users in certain municipalities in the province of Mountain Province, by Representatives Dalog and De Jesus and Dagoo.
To the Committee on Legislative Franchises.
House Bill 7597, mandating law enforcement officers to use a body-worn camera during law enforcement operations, by Representative Arrogancia.
To the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
House Bill 7598, amending the revised penal code, penalizing the robbery of burial places, by Representative Arrogancia.
To the Committee on the Revision of Laws.
House Bill 7599, prohibiting the issuance and use of the number 8 protocol license plates on vehicles of members of the House of Representatives, by Representative Tiangco.
To the Committee on Transportation.
House Bill 7600, separating the Anonat Elementary School, Carupaan Extension in Anonat, Paracaselis Mountain Province from the Anonat Elementary School, converting it into an independent elementary school to be known as Carupaan Elementary School, by Representative Dalog.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 7601, naming the road from Barangay West Junction of Hermosillo Drive through Barangay North Rizal Extension Road up to Barangay Donghol, Lake Imelda Road, which is also referred to by the DPWH as the Ormoc Lake Imelda National Tertiary Road in Ormoc, Leyte, as the Judge Benjamin Pongos Avenue, by Representative Gomez.
To the Committee on Public Works and Highways.
House Bill 7602, converting the extension campus of the Surigao del Norte State University in Claver, Surigao del Norte into a regular campus, by Representative Barbers.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 7603, transferring the National Fire Training Institute from the Philippine Public Safety College to the BFP, by Representative Castro.
To the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
House Bill 7604, institutionalizing budget transparency and accountability safeguards in the inclusion and implementation of any and all infrastructure projects in the National Expenditure Program and the General Appropriations Act, by Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 7605, promoting business competitiveness by providing temporary tax relief to single proprietorships, cooperatives, partnerships, or corporations classified as micro, small, and medium enterprises, by Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
House Bill 7606, providing an increase and an automatic adjustment mechanism in the Personal Economic Relief Allowance or PERA granted to government employees, by Representative Escudero.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 7607, strengthening the DepEd, by Representatives Romulo, Asidre, Adyong, Solon, and Veloso Tuazon.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 7608, to convert the Negros Oriental Provincial Hospital in Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental, into a 500-bed capacity Specialty Service Hospital to be named as the Negros Oriental Regional Hospital by Representative Sagarbaria.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7609, establishing a campus of the Jose Rizal Memorial State University in Sergio Osmeña Sr., Zamboanga del Norte, to be known as the Jose Rizal Memorial State University Sergio Osmeña Sr. Campus by Representative Uy Roberto.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Bill 7610, creating the Department of Sports by Representative Solon.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development and the Committee on Government Reorganization.
House Bill 7611, protecting and promoting the right to health of every Filipino by ensuring the sustainable and adequate funding for universal health care by Representative Montes.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7612, abolishing the collection of travel tax for all persons traveling from the Philippines by Representative Tolentino.
Committee on Tourism.
House Bill 7614, creating 2 additional branches of the RTC in the 6th Judicial Region with seats in Santa Barbara, Iloilo by Representatives Goriseta and Defensor.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 7615, establishing an additional branch of the RTC in the 5th Judicial Region to be stationed in Polangi, Albay by Representative Salceda.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill 7616, providing all barangay officials, including barangay tanods, members of the Lupon and Tagamapayapa, barangay health workers, and barangay daycare workers, a lump sum retirement pay equivalent to 1-year honorarium by Representative Plato.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 7617, providing for an automatic salary adjustments for members of the armed forces on extended deployment by Representative Plato.
To the Committee on National Defense and Security.
House Bill 7618, mandating the appointment of population officers in all provinces, cities, and municipalities by Representative Plato.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 7619, providing fuel subsidy for municipal fisherfolk by Representative Plato.
To the Committee on Aquaculture, Fishery Resources.
House Bill 7620, upgrading the salary grades of dentists employed in the public sector by Representative Plato.
Committee on Appropriations.
House Bill 7621, to establish the Magna Carta for Barangays by Representative Roman.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 7622, providing for expanded paternity leave benefits by Representative Chuatay.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill 7623, strengthening and institutionalizing mandatory government procurement of agricultural and fisheries products from registered farmer and fisherfolk cooperatives and associations by Representative Bautista Claude.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 7624, establishing an agriculture information system in all cities and municipalities by Representative Goriseta.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 7625, for the development of Bantay Bayan volunteers and barangays by Representative Abalos.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 7626, establishing in Molanay, Quezon, a general hospital to be known as the Molanay Medical Center under the direct supervision and control of the DOH by Representatives Stan Keith Micah and Arrogancia.
Committee on Health.
House Bill 7627, instituting the National Artificial Intelligence Code of the Philippines by Representative Lacson.
Committee on Information and Communications Technology.
Resolutions. House Resolution 724, urging the Committee on Legislative Franchises to conduct an investigation to determine as to whether or not Converge ICT Solutions, Inc. has complied with its commitment to provide better service and to recommend remedial measures if necessary by Representative Tiangco.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 725, directing the Committee on Energy to conduct an inquiry into the implementation of the Green Energy Auction Program, focusing on the alarming rate of non-delivering projects and the stalled capacities of developers to assess the program's effectiveness in securing national energy security by Representatives De Jesus and Dagoo.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 726, directing the Committee on Transportation to conduct an inquiry on the series of life-threatening incidents arising from the recent 2026 Boss Ironman Motorcycle Challenge Mindanao Cup by Representative Gutierrez.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 727, creating a standing committee on persons with disabilities in the House of Representatives by Representatives Bascug, Goriseta, Matibag, Tupas, Zamora Isabel Maria, Castro, Gato, Albano, Corvera, Zamora Maria Carmen, Cruzado, Maceda, Perez, Cruz Ricardo, Aquino Magsaysay, Del Mar, and Ayon.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 728, commending and congratulating Mark Jeremy Cruz for winning a bronze medal in the 2025 Southeast Asian Games in Thailand by Representative Oreta.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 729, urging the House Committee on Tourism to conduct an inquiry on the reported exorbitant domestic travel fares in the country, thereby prejudicing the domestic tourism industry, by Representative Tiangco.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 730, directing the House Committee on Tourism to conduct an inquiry into the high cost of air travel to Siargao Island and the current state of tourism infrastructure in the island, with the end view of enhancing accessibility and sustainability in the region, by Representative Matugas.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 731, expressing profound condolences to the family of Dado Banatao and honoring his legacy as a visionary Filipino engineer, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, by Representative Macapagal Arroyo.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 732, congratulating and commending the Filipino athletes who won in the 13th ASEAN Para Games held last January 20 to 26, 2026 in Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand, by Representative Tolentino.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 733, congratulating the Holy Angel University for ranking third among the top performing schools in the 2026 Architecture Licensure Exam, by Representative Lazatin.
Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation.
House Resolution 734, extending warm congratulations to Adam De Los Reyes for winning silver and bronze medals in the Asian Open Schools Invitational Aquatics Championship 2026, held at the Assumption University, Sabarmamuni Campus, Thailand, by Representative Lazatin.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 735, commending and congratulating the Philippine delegation for its exemplary and inspiring performance in the 2025 Southeast Asian Games, with special recognition of the outstanding contributions of athletes from the regions who brought honor and distinction to the Republic of the Philippines, by Representative Chuatay.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 736, urging the House of Representatives to the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization to conduct an inquiry on the delayed payment of service recognition incentive due to public school teachers, by Representative Tino Elago and Co.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 737, directing the appropriate committees of the House to conduct an inquiry into the suspension of death and permanent physical disability benefits of qualified PNP personnel and their beneficiaries under Presidential Decree Number 1184, by Representative De Lima.
Committee on Foreign Affairs. Rules, sorry.
House Resolution 738, urging the government of the USA to issue an apology for the atrocities committed by its military forces against the Filipino people during the Philippine-American War of 1899 to 1901 and the imposition of U.S. colonial rule, by Representatives Tino Elago and Co.
To the Committee on Foreign Affairs.
House Resolution 739, urging the House through the Committee on Transportation and other appropriate committees to conduct an investigation on the significant increase in domestic airfare prices and its adverse economic impact on the local tourism industry, by Representative Ginto.
Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 740, urging the House Committee on Public Accounts and other appropriate committees to conduct an inquiry into the chronic deterioration, alleged defective structural design, repeated piecemeal rehabilitation, and possible irregularities in the planning, funding, procurement, and implementation of works along the Rolando Andaya Highway in the province of Camarines Sur, including related bridge safety concerns, and to examine relevant COA fundings on DPWH road and bridge infrastructure projects for the purpose of determining accountability, preventing wastage of public funds, and improving project quality, oversight, and transparency, by Representative Ridon.
Committee on Rules.
Message from the Senate. Message dated February 3, 2026, informing the House of Representatives that on February 2, 2026, the Senate designated Senator Gatchalian, Chairperson of the Committee on Finance, and Senator Pangilinan, Chairperson of the Committee on Constitution Amendments and Revision of Laws, as chairpersons, and Senators Ejercito and Marqueta as members of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on the new Government Procurement Act.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communication. Letters dated January 28 and 29, 2026 of the BSB Bank Officer SIC Office of the General Counsel and Legal Services, transmitting to the House of Representatives duly certified copies of certain BSP issuances.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Committee reports. Committee report number 103 submitted by the Committee on Revision of Laws on House Bill 7613. Committee report numbers 104, 105, and 106 submitted by the Committee on Higher and Technical Education on House Bill numbers 5019, 7628, and 7629. Committee report numbers 107, 108, 109, and 110 submitted by the Committee on Legislative Franchises on House Bill numbers 7639, 7640, 7646, and 7647.
The aforementioned committee reports are all referred to the Committee on Rules.
Additional reference of business. Committee report. Committee report number 111, submitted by the Committee on Justice on House Resolution number 746, recommending its adoption with the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the committee in the matter of the impeachment proceedings against President Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos Jr.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the guest of the Honorable Congresswoman Daphne Lagon of the 6th District of Cebu, the Honorable Mayor Cesar Suwan of Municipality of Cordoba, Cebu.
To the guests of Congresswoman Daphne Lagon, Mayor Cesar Suwan of the Municipality of Cordova, Cebu, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the guest of Representative Jose Manuel Tadeo Chel Jokno Akbayan Party List, the Honorable Justice John R. Champion from the Supreme Court of Victoria, and Mrs. Maria Champion.
To the guests of Congressman Manuel Tadeo Chel Jokno, Honorable Justice John Champion and Mrs. Maria Champion, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the guests of the Honorable Arnulfo Brian Arnie Fentebella from the 4th District of Camarines Sur, specifically Honorable Gerald Pilapil, Board Member 4th District Camarines Sur, Honorable Gerald B. Peña, Mayor San Jose, guests from the Municipality of Tigaon, headed by its Mayor, Honorable Eugene Adrian Fentebella, Honorable Serafino Brigel Jr., Punong Barangay Abo, Honorable Juan P. Bunganay Jr., Punong Barangay Kabalinadan, Honorable Romeo Corrigas Sr., Punong Barangay Karaykayon, Honorable Jose B. Permalejo, Punong Barangay Kasuna, Honorable Rosano B. Balobosa, Punong Barangay Consosep, Honorable Edmond Calipis, Punong Barangay Coyauyaw, Honorable Vicente V. Seprioto, Punong Barangay Gao, Honorable Bernardo A. Abelion, Punong Barangay Gingaroy, Honorable Sulpicio D. Arteta, Punong Barangay Gubat, Honorable Conrad C. Cantos, Punong Barangay Hayun, Honorable Efren Brizuela, Punong Barangay Libod, Honorable Marcelo N. Villafuerte Jr., punong barangay of Barangay May Anao. Honorable Luningning R. Cabaero, punong barangay Barangay Mabalod-Balod. Honorable Richie C. Core, punong barangay Barangay Panagan. Honorable Maria Lourdes S. Pilapil, punong barangay of Barangay Poblacion. Honorable Juan B. Ibarrientos Jr., punong barangay of Barangay Salvacion. Honorable Marcel Baduria, punong barangay of Barangay San Antonio. Honorable Joselito C. Pelo, punong barangay of Barangay San Francisco. Honorable Tomas C. Priolo, punong barangay of Barangay San Miguel. Honorable Christian S. Punto, punong barangay of Barangay San Rafael. Honorable Herman P. Melgarejero, punong barangay of Barangay Talohongon. Honorable Vicente Elorde B. Espinosa, punong barangay of Barangay Tinawagan. Honorable Yvonne O. Estrella, punong barangay of Barangay Vinagre. Also, Mr. Speaker, guests from the municipality of Simura, headed by its Mayor, Honorable Karina Pulinga. Along with the Mayor are the following: Frederick Pulinga, Leslie Añete, Maria Cristina Azania, Pio Balanay Jr., Zaldi Tulay, Rene Mateos, Carlo Galapati, Paulo Galapati, Randall Dagook, and Attorney Diane Cecilia Trevino. Mr. Speaker.
To the guests of Congressman Arnie Fuentabella, headed by Honorable Board Member Gerald Pilapil, Mayor Harold Peña, Mayor Eugene Fuentabella, and Mayor Karina Pulinga, along with all their barangay captains at mga panauhin mula sa lalawigan ng Camarines Sur. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the following guests of Honorable Nelson Ligacion, District Representative from Camarines Sur. They are the punong barangays from the municipality of Calabanga, Camarines Sur, are as follows. We have Jessica Prebosa, Barangay Santo Domingo; Moises Carlos M. Asañez, Barangay San Antonio, Poblacion; Paul Christian Santos, Barangay Sabang; Rolando Ordoves, Barangay Balatasan; Edwin Hernandez, Barangay del Carmen; Honesto Gueriba, Barangay San Lucas; Erwin Mitran, Barangay Salvacion Baybay; Jason Very, Barangay Punta Tarawal; Maxima Tandog, Barangay Santa Isabel; Ronald Perez, Barangay Lungsad; Wilfredo de Chavez, Barangay San Isidro; Elmer Tanael, Barangay Bunot Santa Rosa; Marilo Dagawin, Barangay Binawanan Pequeño; Armando Imperial Jr., Barangay San Vicente; Agnes Ipo, Barangay Fabrica; Joel Orlina, Barangay Haruba; Rizalde Sagales, Barangay San Pablo; Jenny Elopre, Barangay Sugod; Ariel Romero, Barangay Balumbon; Carmen Caña, Barangay Binaliw; Ronnie Abner, Barangay La Purisima, Kipayo; Elizabeth Lainisa, Barangay Bigaas; Joey Tarubago, Barangay Santa Cruz, Kipayo; Pedro Brunzal, Barangay Makiring; Ramon Calalo, Barangay Burabud; Alvin David, Barangay Belen; Aldrin Makawili, Barangay Salud; Andy Barrios, Barangay Binawanan Grande; Danilo Bolaños, Barangay Comangking; Alfonso Domalasa Jr., Barangay Kamuning; Rostom Camigla, Barangay San Bernardino; Rapi Bugok, Barangay San Roque; Danilo Olalo, Barangay Cagsaw. Glenn Abendaño, Barangay Pinada. Nelson De Leon, Barangay Paulbo. Rodel Del Mundo, Barangay Cabanbanan. Joel Batas, Barangay Santo Niño, Kipayo. Eugene Dulce, Barangay San Miguel. Jose Asoro, Barangay Balungay. Godincio Asoro, Barangay Dominorog. Cirilo Palino, Barangay San Francisco. Florento Caganda, Barangay Silbao. And the district staff, Lito Miranda and Gino Corralde.
To the guests of Congressman Legacion from the municipality of Calabanga, Camarines Sur, Dagos Camo, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we recognize the visitors of FPJ Panday Bayanihan, Brian Po, from Rizal Muslim Consultative Council and United Cavite Muslim Communities. They are Almojin Pandapatan, Amalhaya Pandapatan, Alejandro Deron, Basit Abbas, Yusuf Guillermo, Ramon Abdurrahman Navale, Bong Picardal, Malik Murad, Nazir Basiman, Jul Arab Taub, Abdul Latif Sultan, Pakalinog Abdul, Alden Mangansan, Abdul Malik Barataman, Hanif Dilabayan, Gaddafi Etado, Yusuf Hassan Pundag, Amen Datumas, and Almar Pondogar.
To the guests of Congressman Brian Poe from the Rizal Muslim Consultative Council and United Cavite Muslim Communities, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to acknowledge the guest of the Honorable Robert Nazal from Bagong Henerasyon Party List, the Sangguniang Bayan members from Mamburao Oriental, Mindoro, Mayor Glicerio S. Almero III, Vice Mayor Raul V. Masangkay, SB Maria Dolores Calabio, SB Flores Calambio, SB Lana Isabel Abelido, SB Winwright Esperanza, SB Melquides Ramirez, SB Oliver Mataro, SB Enrique Pantoja, SB John Bernard Villaflores, SB Brian Joseph Bautista, ABC President Meliton Benasa Jr., SK Federation President Vince Joseph Alacaide, SB Secretary Jesus Antonio Robles.
To the guests of Congressman Robert Nazal of BH Party List from the municipality of Mamburao, Occidental Mindoro, headed by their Mayor Glicerio Almero, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to our rules, today being a Monday, I move to open the privilege hour.
There's a motion to open the privilege hour. Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Javier Miguel Lopez Benitez of the 3rd District of Negros Occidental to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Representative from the 3rd District of Negros Occidental, Congressman Javier Miguel Lopez Benitez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I begin, gusto ko lang sabihin, pasensya, hindi po 100% aking boses, pero gagawin ko to para sa National Arts Month. So, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today during National Arts Month to speak not about what Filipino art has achieved, because its achievements are beyond question, but about what we, as a nation, have failed to build around it. It is a question we have asked for decades, and the answer we often arrive at is discouraging. That Filipinos are not an art-loving people, that we lack the culture of appreciation that exists in Europe, in Japan, in the galleries of New York and London. I want to challenge this assumption directly, because the evidence tells us a different story. This February, Art Fair Philippines and Art in the Park drew record attendance. The lines outside the National Museum on any given weekend are the longest they have ever been. Filipinos are showing up. They are interested. They are curious. The appetite exists. But here is what I learned when I consulted with practitioners who work inside these institutions. The appetite is being met with broken systems. At the National Museum, visitors who flew in from abroad to see a critically acclaimed exhibition could not enter. Not because the museum was full, but because there was one person at the entrance manually recording names. The bottleneck was not demand, it was registration. At the same museum, a visitor who asked a staff member where to find a painting by George Pineda, one of our most important early 20th century painters, whose works are in the National Collection, was met with a blank stare. At the Provincial Museum, children were told that taking photographs would erase the paintings. Not the flash, the photograph itself. Those children walked away believing that to be true. So, Mr. Speaker, the problem is not that Filipinos do not care about art. The problem is that we have made it unnecessarily difficult for them to experience it, and unnecessarily easy for them to walk away confused, misinformed, or indifferent. Before we discuss what must be built, let us be clear about what already exists. In the mid-20th century, Filipino modernists, Fernando Zubel, Arturo Luz, and their contemporaries were leading Southeast Asia. If you compare what was happening in Philippine visual arts during that period with Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, the Philippines was demonstrably ahead. It is documented history. That tradition did not disappear. Today, a Filipino performance artist, Aiko Hokson, has worked in the collection of the Centre Pompidou in Paris, including her Becoming White series, a body of work that critiques global labor and identity through the lens of the Disney princess industry. She is one of the several Filipino artists now operating at the highest tier of international contemporary art. Filipino architects designed landmark structures that define the skylines of other nations. Leandro V. Locsin designed the Istana Nurul Iman in Brunei, the largest residential palace in the world. Ildefonso P. Santos Jr., our national artist for architecture and the father of Philippine landscape architecture, shaped major landscape projects across Southeast Asia, including Tai Kuching Complex in Hong Kong. Our own Juan Arellano designed the Negros Occidental Provincial Capital, the Metropolitan Theater, and the Manila Central Post Office, embedding indigenous motifs like Okir, the Carabao, and the Sampaguita into Art Deco forms. Juan Nakpil, our first national artist for architecture, designed structures across the archipelago that married Filipino identity with modernist ambition. And yet, we have no decorative arts museum documenting our own design history. Meanwhile, Patrick Flores, one of the foremost curatorial voices in Southeast Asia, a professor at the University of the Philippines, now serves as chief curator at the National Gallery, Singapore. We are losing our best cultural practitioners to countries that recognize their value. The talent has never been the problem, Mr. Speaker. The ecosystem has. And yet, Mr. Speaker, we cannot say that government has been entirely silent on this front. In fact, the policy architecture for a thriving creative sector already exists on paper. In 2022, this very chamber passed Republic Act number 11904, the Philippine Creative Industries Development Act, which created the Philippine Creative Industries Development Council and mandated a long-term plan for development and promotion of our creative industries. The law recognized what we have always known, that creative industries are not a luxury. They are an economic sector. The PSA reported that in 2024, the creative economy contributed 1.9 trillion pesos to our GDP, 7.3% of the national output, and employed 7.51 million Filipinos. That is 15.4% of national employment. That this is not a marginal concern, but a major economic pillar. Pursuant to that law, the President approved the Philippine Creative Industries Development Plan 2025 to 2034 under Memorandum Circular Number 103 in October of last year. The PCIDP envisions the Philippines as Asia's premier creative hub by 2030. And separately, in November 2024, Memorandum Circular Number 74 adopted the Philippine Development Plan for Culture and the Arts 2024 to 2029, or the PDPCA, with the NCCA designed as lead implementer. This plan is organized around 4 strategic outcomes: the reaffirmation of Filipino identity, the harnessing of Filipino creativity and innovativeness, the establishment of humane, inclusive, and sustainable communities, and the enhancement of culture and disaster-responsive governance. Mr. Speaker, these are serious, well-crafted plans. I commend the agencies and stakeholders who developed them. But plans are not platforms. Republic Act Number 11333, the National Museum of the Philippines Act, mandates the establishment of regional museums. Republic Act Number 10066, the National Cultural Heritage Act, provides the framework for heritage preservation. The proposed Department of Culture Act, which reached the second reading in the Senate recently, would reorganize NCCA into a full cabinet-level department with 12 attached agencies. In the House, we will be exploring the Department of Culture and Creative Industries. These are the right instruments, but instruments without infrastructure produce no music. Let me be specific about what is missing. Government's role is not to run the arts. It's to build the platform on which arts can thrive. The PCIDP and PDPCA articulate this vision. What follows are the concrete investments required to deliver on that vision. I'll focus on 4 areas: venues, education, decentralized access, and coordinated programming. On venues, our art fairs are held in developer-donated spaces, converted car parks, and shopping mall annexes, because they are free. The result is low ceiling heights that prevent large-scale work from being shown properly, partitions that are too short and flimsy, substandard lighting, and multi-floor layouts with slow elevators that destroy visitor flow. This year's Art Fair Philippines drew complaints for confusing navigation. Several attendees said Art in the Park was actually a better experience, not because the work was stronger, but because the space made more sense. So no private fair organizer can solve this alone. In Hong Kong, Art Central operates under purpose-built, large-format tents on the waterfront. Paris used tent fairs at the Champ de Mars. These offer ground floor access, proper ceiling heights, flexible layouts, and can be repurposed for other events year-round. They are significantly less expensive than permanent construction. The PCIDP calls for world-class talent and infrastructure. Exhibition infrastructure is exactly the kind of public investment that unlocks private sector activity. In the Gulf states, governments have invested billions in cultural infrastructure. Abu Dhabi built the Louvre Abu Dhabi, is completing the Guggenheim Abu Dhabi, and both Abu Dhabi and Qatar have partnered with the global art fair brands to bring major fairs to their cities. These were investments in cultural positioning, tourism infrastructure, and soft power. We do not need to replicate that scale, but we can start by providing proper venue infrastructure and letting our private sector fair organizers do what they do best within it. A sector that contributes 1.94 trillion to the economy and employs over 7 million Filipinos deserves more than borrowed parking lots. The public investment required to provide proper exhibition venues is modest relative to the economy activity it would unlock. On education, the PDPCA identifies the reaffirmation of Filipino identity as a strategic outcome. But identity cannot be reaffirmed if it has never formed in the first place. Art appreciation has largely disappeared from Philippine education. Most students' only exposure is a museum field trip where they are herded through walls without meaningful interpretation. They see the Spolarium, are told it is important, and move on. Nobody makes it exciting, and nobody makes it personal. I spoke with a practitioner who recalled his own experience as a volunteer at the Old Metropolitan Museum for a Vatican exhibition. He was assigned to the Baldacchino section and walked visitors through the work. That single experience shaped his career. He proposed engaging art students as volunteers at museums for course credit. It costs nothing, builds knowledge, and transforms the visitor experience. But the intervention must go deeper. We need a guidebook on Philippine culture for educators. We need teachers in arts-related courses to attend docent-led museum tours in their own regions. The National Museum branches, universities like Silliman and Dumaguete, and existing cultural institutions should be tapped for this. The PDPCA strategic outcome on humane, inclusive, and sustainable communities begins with cultural literacy. If we spark the interest of even one child, that child may grow up to become the next great Filipino artist, dancer, or musician, but we must plant the seed. On decentralized access, right now, the Art Deco Centennial exhibition at the National Museum draws from over 300 objects and more than 400 collections across Luzon and the Visayas. It demonstrates how Filipino architects embedded indigenous motifs into modernist forms and how Art Deco permeated everyday Filipino life through furniture, jewelry, ternos, and graphic design. It is, by all accounts, extraordinary. But it can only be seen in Manila. It will not travel. How does someone from Bacolod experience this? From Davao, from Zamboanga? Republic Act number 11333 mandates the establishment of regional museums. We have heritage institutions like the Balay ni Tana Dikang in Talisay, Negros Occidental. A house museum that has already established an artist residency program and art gallery within a 100-year-old ancestral home. We have Balay Negrense in Silay. These are ready-made platforms for circulating exhibitions that bring our national cultural patrimony to the people, rather than expecting the people to always come to Manila. The PDPCA and the PCIDP both emphasize inclusivity and regional development. Traveling exhibitions supported by a modest fund would operationalize that commitment immediately. On coordinated programming, I want to share that during Art Basel Hong Kong, the entire city participates. Local government works with galleries to place sculptures along Queens Road, on rooftops, including the police headquarters, and in public spaces across every district. There are off-site events, exhibitions, and public programming across the city. The city itself becomes the cultural experience. Here, we have what our practitioners call 10 Days of Art, ongoing gallery shows during Arts Month. But there is no coordinated citywide program, no unified calendar, no advanced publication of what is happening and where, no free programming outside the paid fairs. The general public, which cannot afford 750 pesos tickets, has no alternative entry point. South Korea, Mr. Speaker, embeds art in MRT stations, public markets, walkways, and underpasses. Art is integrated into daily life, not sequestered behind ticketed venues. We can do the same. Simple interventions with measurable community impact. The DP's vision of becoming Asia's premier creative hub requires that creativity be visible in public life, not confined to private galleries. So, Mr. Speaker, our art fairs are private sector achievements. Our galleries are run by passionate entrepreneurs. Our artists are independent. That is our strength. But the private sector operates within the infrastructure that government provides or fails to provide. The galleries are private sector. The artists are private sector. But the venues, the convention centers, the zoning, the museum systems, the education curriculum, that is public sector. And no private fair organizer, however talented, can solve these problems alone. So what I'm proposing is a platform model, one fully consistent with the architecture of RA 11904, the PICDP and the PDPCA. Government provides the foundation, proper exhibition infrastructure, museum modernization, arts education reform, and coordinated cultural programming. The private sector provides the content, the curation, the entrepreneurship, and the creative energy. And together, they and we create something neither can build alone. We should look at our ASEAN chairmanship as an opportunity. For example, a survey exhibition of ASEAN modernism from 1950 to 1971, curated at the highest level, would position the Philippines as the intellectual center of Southeast Asian art history. Because, Mr. Speaker, that is exactly what we are. And we should have the ambition to say so on a global stage. A practitioner I consulted told me, you just have to build a template, a big landmark kind of thing. It does not have to be expensive. And he is right. We do not need to build the Louvre. We need to build the systems that allow every Filipino, from the childhood in Talisay to the collector in Makati, from the first-time museum visitor in Dumaguete to the artist working in a studio in Quezon City, to encounter Philippine art in a space that honors it, with guides who can explain it and in venues that can hold it, and through programs that make it accessible to all. Rosario Bitanga, our first female abstract artist, was once believed by most people to have already died. Then a curator organized a survey of her work at Art Fair Philippines. She attended the opening. People saw her. They saw her painting spanning 7 decades. They understood, for the first time, the scale of what she had accomplished. She passed away the following year at the age of 89. How many Rosario Bitangas do we have? Artists of extraordinary achievement, whom the nation has forgotten because we never built the systems to remember them. So, Mr. Speaker, we have the laws. We have Republic Act number 11904. We have PCIDP 2025 to 2034. We have PDPCA 2024 to 2029. We have the mandate of the National Museum Act and Cultural Heritage Act. What we do not yet have is the infrastructure, the education, and the coordination to make these plans real in the lives of extraordinary Filipinos. The Philippines does not have a talent deficit. It has an infrastructure deficit, an education deficit, and a coordination deficit. Those are solvable problems. They are legislative problems. They are exactly the kind of problems this chamber was designed to address. Again, the talent has never been the problem. Let us, at last, build the ecosystem it deserves. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Benitez to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Any objection? Hearing none, the privileged speech of the Honorable Javier Miguel Lopez Benitez is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the guests of the Honorable Gerald Cloyd Alexis Galang of the 2nd District of Valenzuela City, namely the Supreme Student Council Drew Hilux Pable, Jamaica Bonajos, Jasmine Elaine Martin, Cassandra Napeñas, Cristina Cassandra Reyes, Angelita Joy Gaminde, Mary Brian Ke, Giselle Princess Javier, Renz Remilio, Jeanne Marie Senya, Cyril Jairo de los Santos, and the Kill Royale publication, Kevin T. Dancil, Althea Marie Corralde, Azria de los Santos, Daniel Joaquin Dancel, Ashanti Janelle Montiano, Maria Paula Nicole Elano, Samantha Nicole Geminiano, Nika Samudio, Miles Nicole Panis, Neil Eli Daria, Christian Cruz, Joyanne Tamares, Joanna Marie Rilera, Adrian Balmaceda, and Mr. Bong Alingsog.
The guests of the Honorable Gerald Floyd Alexis Galang of the 2nd District of Valenzuela City, please rise to be recognized. To the Supreme Student Council and the Quill Royale publication, welcome to the House of the People. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we may acknowledge the presence of guests in the gallery. We have the guests of APEC Party List, Representative Sergio Dagook and Congressman Presley De Jesus of PhilReca Party List, from Siargao Electric Cooperatives and Dinagat Island Electric Cooperatives, and they are Van Juan Matulak, Nardson Cavite, Jason Argana, from Dinagat Island Electric Cooperatives, Annie Rose Vargas, Sabiana Narvasa, Jana BC Kagulada.
The guests of the Honorable Serge Dagook, the brilliant Deputy Minority Leader, and one of my idol in the several years that he has been a legislator and a fighter and protector of cooperatives, the Siargao Electric Cooperatives and the Dinagat Island Electric Cooperatives, who are privileged to have their leader in the halls of Congress. Please rise to be acknowledged. Welcome to the House of the People. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the honorable gentleman from APEC Party List, Honorable Sergio C. Dagook, to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Sergio Dagook of Party List APEC is hereby recognized for his privileged speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The most intelligent Deputy Speaker of the 20th Congress. Thank you, Majority Leader. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, magandang hapon po. I rise today on a question of personal and collective privilege to address a matter that strikes at the very heart of our constitutional commitment to provide decent and affordable housing to every Filipino. A matter that exposes a profound contradiction between what we promise and what we practice, between the houses we build and the homes we fail to provide our own people. Madam Speaker, I speak today about the high housing crisis facing the employees themselves of our housing agencies. Madam Speaker, let me begin with a simple question. How can we ask government employees to provide the nation with houses when they themselves do not have homes? Yung mga empleyado po ng mga housing agencies natin, sila mismo walang mga bahay. So paano po sila magpapatayo ng pabahay? Wala nga silang sariling bahay. Hindi po ito isang pilosopong tanong. Ito po ay isang valid at napapanahong katanungan. This is the documented reality of thousands of men and women who wake up every morning, report to offices of the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development, the National Housing Authority, Pag-ibig Fund, the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, and the Social Housing Finance Corporation. Agencies collectively tasked with addressing our nation's 6.5 million housing backlog. Subalit, sila po ay uuwi sa gabi sa bahay na hindi naman nila pagmamayari, mga paupahan na bahay, o di kaya nakikitira lamang sila sa mga kamag-anak. Ang iba ay nasa mga informal settlements. Sila po ang mga empleyado natin sa gobyerno na nagtatrabaho para kuno ayusin at alisin ang ganitong mga problema. Ngunit sila din mismo ang nakakaranas ng ganitong suliranin o kalagayan sa buhay. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, imagine the irony. The people implementing our pambansang pabahay para sa Filipino housing program cannot afford their own pabahay. Madam Speaker, during the budget hearing last September, I asked a simple question to the officials of the SOD and key shelter agencies. What is the housing status of your employees? Wala pong nakasagot sa kanila. Mismong mga officials nila ay hindi alam. Hindi po nila inaalam ang kalagayan ng kanilang mga empleyado. Kaya naman po, pinakiusapan ko sila na alamin naman nila. Mag-survey sila. Tanungin nila ang kanilang mga empleyado. May bahay ka na ba? Afford mo ba? Nakabili ka ba ng sarili mong bahay sa atin mismong programa? Madam Speaker, the results of those surveys submitted to my office reveal a housing crisis within our housing bureaucracy, a crisis of credibility, of moral authority, of institutional integrity. Let me share the numbers to the members of this august body. From the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, out of 197 respondents, hindi nga lahat, no, nag-answer ng survey. Itong 197 are from Central Office. Only 40.3% fully own their homes, meaning 60% po ang walang bahay. More than one-third are renting. Almost half are living with their nuclear or extended families, not by choice, Madam Speaker, but because they cannot afford independent housing. From the Social Housing Finance Corporation, the agency tasked with financing housing for informal settlers, out of 197 respondents from 222 plantilla employees, only 49% have their own housing. 30% are renting. And here is the harshest irony. 21% are occupying housing structures with or without the consent of the owner. So nakikitira lang na parang salimposa. Madam Speaker, let me repeat that 21% of SHFC employees of an agency created to formalize informal housing tenure, are themselves living in informal housing arrangements. From the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, our secondary mortgage facilities, out of 242 regular employees, only 108 own housing units. That means 118 employees, nearly half, do not own homes despite working for an agency whose purpose is to expand home ownership. From Pag-ibig Fund, our National Housing Finance Institution with 3,390 employees, only 841 employees, or barely 25%, have existing housing loans with Pag-ibig itself. Sila mismo hindi tumatangkilik sa kanilang programa. 3/4 of Pag-ibig employees have not availed themselves of Pag-ibig housing loans. From the National Housing Authority, our principal housing implementation agency, the data submitted was incomplete. It only provides for employees with housing but failed to report how many employees are without housing. Kulang po ang binibigay nilang data. Madam Speaker, these are not just statistics. Behind every percentage point is a human being. These employees live the daily contradiction of their work. They drop policies on affordable housing that they cannot afford. They process loans they cannot qualify for. They inspect housing units they will never own. These housing employees would tell the beneficiaries, the government is here to help you achieve your dream of home ownership, but at the end of the day, they would return to the rented rooms where landlords can evict them with 30 days notice. That's the irony, Madam Speaker. How long can we sustain this hypocrisy? Madam Speaker, Article 8, Section 9 of our Constitution mandates that the state shall undertake a continuing program of urban land reform and housing which will make available at affordable cost decent housing and basic services to underprivileged and homeless citizens. We have built agencies to fulfill this mandate. We have allocated billions of pesos year in, year out in our General Appropriations Act. We have drafted countless programs. We have held endless hearings. We have promised housing to millions of our kababayans. But we have failed to house the very people we have tasked with housing the nation. This raises a fundamental moral question. What right do we have to ask government employees to work toward a goal we deny them personally? Anong kredibilidad ng ating mga housing agencies kung hindi naman nila kayang bigyan ng pabahay ang kanilang sariling mga empleyado? Ano pong mensahe ang sinasabi natin sa ating mga kababayang Pilipino na kung ang empleyado ng ating mga housing programs ay walang sariling bahay? Madam Speaker, naalala ko lang ang isang kasabihan sa Biblia, Physician, heal thyself, or in our context, housing provider, house thyself. We cannot ask our housing agencies to heal the nation's housing crisis when they refuse to heal their own. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, this is not just a moral feeling. It is a policy feeling that violates international labor standards. The International Labor Organization's Declaration of Philadelphia recognizes the solemn obligation to provide adequate housing as central to social justice. ILO Recommendation number 115 on workers' housing calls for national policies ensuring that adequate and decent housing accommodation and a suitable living environment are made available to all workers and their families. Madam Speaker, we are signatories to these conventions. We have committed to these standards. Yet, we violate them daily in our treatment of our own housing sector employees. In developed housing systems worldwide, like for example in Singapore, in South Korea, in the Netherlands, housing agencies recognize that providing housing for their workforce is not merely an employee benefit, but a fundamental requirement of institutional credibility. They understand a simple principle. agencies that cannot house their employees forfeit the moral standing to house the nation. Kailangan po nating matuto, Madam Speaker, mula sa kanila. If we want effective housing agencies, we must start by housing the employees of these agencies. That is why today I am filing a House resolution urging the DSOD, NHA, NHMFC, SHFC, and Pag-ibig Fund to immediately start doing the following. First, conduct a comprehensive inventory of the housing status of all their employees, not just plantilla, but also contract of service and job order personnel. We need complete data, not the incomplete reports submitted so far. Secondly, develop and implement a priority housing program for employees that includes, number one, preferential access to affordable housing loans with enhanced terms. Number two, priority allocation in government housing projects, especially under the 4PH program. Number three, housing subsidies for employees currently renting. And number four, employer-assisted housing programs with salary-integrated payment schemes. Third, submit within 90 days a detailed report to the Housing Committee, to the House Committee on Housing and Urban Development of their plans, budgets, and timelines. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, this is not asking for a special privilege. This is asking for basic fairness. This is asking that we practice what we preach. I ask for your support for this resolution, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues. But more than that, I ask that we reflect deeply on the contradiction we have allowed to persist. We have built a housing bureaucracy that does not house its own. We have created agencies to fulfill a constitutional mandate while denying that same mandate to the people working in those agencies. We have asked these workers to secure homes for others while they themselves lack housing scrutiny. This must end. Madam Speaker, if we are serious about addressing the 6.5 million housing backlog, we must start with the men and women tasked with addressing it. If we are serious about making home ownership affordable, we must start by making it affordable for those who administer home ownership program. If we are serious about our constitutional commitment to provide decent housing to every Filipino, we must start with the Filipinos who work every day to fulfill that commitment. Madam Speaker, the employees of the SOD and the key shelter agencies did not create the housing crisis, but they have been asked to solve it habang sila mismo ang walang sariling bahay. Imagine that, ang housing crisis natin, pinapasolve natin sa mga taong ito, pero sila mismo walang mga bahay. Madam Speaker, distinguished colleague, these people deserve better. The Filipino people deserve housing agencies with a moral authority that comes only from practicing what they preach. Let me close with this. I have met countless families living in informal settlements, in danger zones, in cramped tenements, families who dream of one day owning a piece of land, a simple house they can call their own. These families look to government for hope. They look to the SOD, NHA, Pag-ibig, to NHMFC and SHFC. But if the employees of these agencies employees with college degrees, with professional license, with government jobs cannot achieve home ownership, what hope is there for ordinary Filipinos like them? The answer, Madam Speaker, must be, we will provide that hope by starting with our own. Let us house the housing providers. Let us restore credibility to our housing agencies. Let us fulfill our constitutional mandate for all Filipinos, starting with those who serve the housing agencies. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Daghang salamat kaninyong tanan.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from Kamanggagawa Party List, the Honorable Elijah San Fernando, for his interpellation.
The Honorable San Fernando is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Madam Speaker, sa ating kaibigan kasama na kinatawan ng APEC Party List. Bukas po ba kayo sa ilang mga katanungan at paglilinaw?
Gladly, Madam Speaker.
Maraming salamat. Madam Speaker, napakahalaga po ng binanggit ng ating kasama, kinatawan ng APEC Party List, dahil malinaw na binanggit niya na ang mga manggagawa mismo ng DSUD na naatasan na magpatupad ng pulisiya hinggil sa pagpapatayo ng mga programa, proyektong pabahay, sila mismo walang bahay. Yan nais ko pong ilinaw sa ating kaibigan kasama. Sinabi niyo po kanina sa inyong talumpati na sa DSUD, only 40.3% at 49% naman sa ShopC ang merong sariling tahanan. Pwede niyo hubang linawin kung ano ang methodology na ginamit ng survey na ito?
Ang mga datos na yan, Madam Speaker, was provided to my office by DSUD. As I have elaborated a while ago, they conducted a survey for their own plantilla employees. At halimbawa, 200 plus yung empleyado nila, ang naka-filled up lang is mga 177. But out of the one who filled up the survey, yun ang lumalabas na percentage. Ang ibig kong sabihin, Madam Speaker, hindi pa lahat ng empleyado ang naka-filled up. Hindi pa yung kabuuan. Mataas na yung percentage na walang bahay.
Mataas ang percentage na. Salamat po sa ating kaibigan kasama na kinatawan ng APEC Party List. Nag-agree po ba ang ating kasama, kaibigan, na mahalaga po doon sa survey methodology na linawin kung sino ang mga employees na hindi kayang makabili ng kanilang sariling tahanan o bahay at doon naman sa mga employees na pinipili na hindi bumili ng kanilang sariling bahay?
Yan po, Madam Speaker, ang pinanawagan ko sa aking privilege speech na kailangan nating i-require. Kaya this representation will file a resolution, no, under that subject matter. Now, we will be provided by these agencies with their current program and their plans about how to deal with this problem in their agency themselves. So, tatalakayin po yan kung magkaroon tayo ng hearing sa appropriate committee.
Salamat, Madam Speaker, at sa ating kaibigan kasamang kinatawan. Paano po natin masasabi na dito sa mga datos na inyong binanggit sa inyong talumpati, may masasabi tayo na housing crisis?
Pag nakita mo yung survey nila, no, at the present situation wherein people working to provide housing for our fellow Filipinos do not have house themselves. So, yan po ay malinaw na krisis. Kasi paano mo maibigay ang isang bagay na wala ka? Ang tinutukoy ko ay hindi mo pwedeng bigyan ng pabahay yung mga kapwa mo Pilipino kung ikaw mismo walang sariling bahay.
Tama po, Madam Speaker, at sa ating kasama. Binanggit ho at binibigyang diin ng ating kasama, kinatawan ng APEC Party List, na bigyan ng priority ang mga kawani ng DSUD at ng mga ahensyang naatasan na magpatupad ng mga housing projects and programs natin, ibig sabihin ba nito ay dapat magkaroon ng hierarchy, privilege ang mga government employees kaysa sa mga private employees at informal sectors? Yun po ba ang nais na mensaheng ibigay ng ating kaibigan, kinatawan ng APEC Party List?
Hindi po, Madam Speaker. Ang sinasabi ko po, kasama ang mga empleyado sa pribado. At isa sa mga minumungkahi ko sa aking privilege speech ay imandato natin sa mga private employers na bigyan ng pabahay kahit salary offsetting. Talagang alagang-alaga ako ng aking chairman sa Committee on Energy. Ayaw niyang magkaroon ako ng stiff neck. May committee hearing pa kami bukas sa Energy.
Maraming salamat po sa ating kasama, kaibigan ng APEC Party List. Nais pong bigyan ng kinatawang ito ng diin kung ano yung framework na sinusundan natin pagdating sa usaping pabahay. At ang ating national program should give priority to those whose needs are most urgent. Totoo po na meron tayong 6.5 million national housing backlog. So paano po nire-reconcile ng ating kaibigan na ma-prioritize yung formally employed, salaried government workers na meron ng access sa iba't ibang mga programa para sila ay makapag-avail ng mga programang para sila ay magkaroon ng tahanan gaya ng pag-ibig loans, GSI sa housing programs and salary loans, over the millions of informal settlers and minimum wage workers na wala namang access sa ganitong mga programa.
Madam Speaker, ibang usapin po yon. The subject matter of my privilege speech is about the employees working under the different government agencies in charge in providing houses to our kababayans. So, inuna ko po yan kasi sa sinasabi ko paulit-ulit, paano mo maibigay sa kapwa mo yung wala sa'yo? So kung wala silang pabahay, wala silang sariling bahay, paano nila magampanan ng tama yung programa ng pabahay? That's why, ang minumungkahi ko ay balikan natin, no? We will revisit. Those agencies will revisit their existing housing programs for their own employees if they have. Kung wala, dapat gagawa sila. So, kung gagawa sila ng bago, they will give preferential access to affordable housing loans with enhanced terms doon sa mga empleyado nila. Priority allocation in government housing projects, especially under the 4PH program. Dapat may priority yung mga empleyado nila. Housing subsidies for employees currently renting, no? And pang-apat, ang sa mga pribado, the private employers can offer employer-assisted housing programs with salary integrated payment scheme. So, i-deduct na lang sa kanilang sahod na yung hindi naman kalakihan na halaga na yung take-home pay nila ay kaya-kaya pa nilang ikabubuhay. Anyway, kung may unit na sila, mababawas naman yung renta nila na gastos. So, mapupunta na yon sa installment.
Salamat po, Madam Speaker, at sa ating kaibigan. Nasagot na po yung mga susunod ko sanang tanong patungkol sa kung paano ba nakikita ng ating kaibigan na po pwedeng mag-apply yung mga programa o paano niya nakikita na may implement ito, yung pagbibigay ng housing programs para sa ating mga kawani sa DSUD. Just a very quick manifestation, Madam Speaker, and to our good friend. Madam Speaker, I would like to note that even if only a minority of employees face housing insecurity, the fact that the key shelter agencies do not track why their own employees are not accessing their programs is itself a governance failure. As you have mentioned in your privilege speech, if majority of their employees are not accessing their very own program because they already own homes or are financially secure, that is good news and the resolution will confirm it. If, however, a significant share cannot access the housing programs due to other concerns, then we have identified a fixable design flaw. Ang inyo pong resolution sa aking kaibigan na ipa-file ay crucial para po ma-diagnose natin yung mga systemic issues na bumabalot sa ating housing agencies. And this representation fully supports this initiative as it not only aims to address the plight of our clients, but also highlights the urgent need for the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development to enhance its services for its own personnel. We have constructed a housing bureaucracy that paradoxically fails to provide adequate housing solutions for its own employees. And as emphasized po sa inyong speech, we have built a housing bureaucracy that does not house its own. And if we cannot ensure housing stability for those who work within our agencies, we undermine our moral authority and ability to effectively assist the nation. And by investigating and rectifying these issues, we can ensure that our workforce has the stability and support necessary to effectively serve our communities. Yun lamang po, maraming salamat Madam Speaker at sa ating kaibigan kasama sa APEC Party List. Asahan niyo po na ang kinatawang ito mula sa kamanggagawa ay kaisa nyo sa inyong adhikain at sa panawagan sa DSUD at sa ating mga shelter agencies. Sa panawagan sa kanila na bigyan naman ng sapat na suporta ang mga kawani, ang mga manggagawa ng gobyerno na naatasang magbigay ng pabahay. Sila mismo walang sariling tahanan o hindi ma-afford yung mga housing programs and projects na binibigay ng ating gobyerno. Yun lamang po, Madam Speaker. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for the support, no? If that resolution will be filed, we welcome your support. Welcome po yan. Hindi ka ma-declare dito sa resolution na to na persona non grata. We will welcome you to support this resolution. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the lady from the 6th District of Quezon City, Representative Marivic Copilar, for her response to the interpellation.
Madam Speaker, at sa lahat ng ating magigiting na mababatas, sa aking pakikinig kanina, batid ko, no? At nais kong magbigay ng isang manifestation sa aking pag-support sa adikain ng resolusyon na hinain at binanggit ng ating magiting na kongresista na mula sa APEC Party List at sa Manggagawa Party List. Batid ko ang kanilang concern pagdating sa housing backlog. Ngunit nais lang natin bigyang linaw na noon ang survey ay 6.6 million ang housing backlog. Ngunit ngayon ito ay bumaba na ng 3.2 million. Ang basihan dati ay yung United Nations Habitat Yun ang survey nila 6.6 million. Pero ngayon bumaba na ng 3.3 million. At ang adikain ng ating national government o DSUD na at least 1.2 million housing project ang ma-produce bago mag-2028. At batid ko rin, in reply to that, yung housing backlog natin. At ngayon, marami ng modalities. Dati, pinipilit lang natin yung 4PH, yung pataas, Pero ngayon, may vertical, may horizontal, may medium rise, mga housing project, at higit sa lahat, pinapalakas na ngayon yung ating Enhanced Community Mortgage Program. Pangatlo, gusto ko rin bigyang batid sa ating Ginoo na
yung problema ng mga kawani ng ating pamahalaan. Dahil naniniwala ako dyan. Kaya tinutungtungan ko rin at binibigyan din suporta ang iyong adikain at kasama nyo ang Committee ng Housing na sana sa pagbabalangkas natin, hindi na ng UDA. Kasi ang UDA nakatutok lang dun sa informal settlers family. Pero ang Committee on Housing ay magbabalangkas ng National Housing Code of the Philippines kung saan i-address ang mga problema ng pabahay, hindi lang para sa informal settlers family, kundi sa kawani ng gobyerno, mga teacher, mga policeman, at lahat ng working class, no, mga empleyado. So doon papunta yung trajectory ng ating bagong magiging National Housing Code of the Philippines, at naniniwala ako sa suporta ng Executive Department, ng DSUD, ng SHAPSI, ma-address natin itong inyong mga nabagit na suliranin. Dahil naniniwala akong pabahay ay hindi lamang para doon sa ating mga informal settlers family. Ngunit sila yung talagang nangungunang kailangan na mabigyan. Pero naniniwala kami, o ako ang yung lingkod, na dapat ang pabahay ay hindi issue lang ng iilang sektor. Ito ay issue ng bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Dahil ang tunay na dangal ng ating pamilya ay magkaroon ng sariling tahanan na sisilungan ang kanilang pamilya. With that, Madam Speaker, I support the resolution that was presented by APIC Party List at Manggagawa Party List. That's all, Madam Chair.
Madam Speaker, I am pleased to hear that welcome development from the chairperson of the Committee on Housing of the House. And I hope na makapagdagdag kami, makapag-ambag kami sa committee in the appropriate time sa pagbalangkas ng mga magandang plano para sa ating mga kawani at sa ating mga kababayan housing needs. Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to refer the speech as well as its interpellation and the response of the Honorable Serge Dagoc to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Any objection? Hearing none, the speech of the Honorable Serge Dagoc as well as interpellations is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, before we proceed, may I request that we acknowledge the guest of the Honorable Congresswoman Daphne Lagon, Congressman Edu Rama, Congressman Rachel Del Mar, Congressman Lollipop Owano, Congresswoman Lollipop Owano, Congressman Sun Shimura, Congresswoman Girlie Veloso, Congresswoman Patsy Calderon, Congressman Ahong Chan, Congresswoman Karen Garcia, and Congressman Edsel Galeos. They are Governor Pamela Baricuatro, the Governor of the Province of Cebu, Governor Aris Aumentado, Governor of the Province of Bohol, Mayor Nestor Archival, the City Mayor of the City of Cebu, Mayor Jonky Owano, the Mayor of the City of Mandaue, Mayor Cesar Didoy Suwan, the Mayor of Cordova, Cebu, and LMP President of Cebu Province, and the RDC Co-Chair, Ms. Melanie Nang.
To the guests of the Cebu Congressman headed by, of course, the Cebu Congressman, Congresswoman Lagon, Congressman Edu Rama, Congressman Rachel Del Mar, Congresswoman Owano, Congressman Shimura, Congresswoman Girlie Veloso, Congressman Patsy Calderon, Kong Ahong Chan, and Kong Karen Garcia. May we request their guests to please rise and be acknowledged, headed, of course, by our very active, never waning and never fading Governor of the Province of Cebu, Governor Pam Baricuatro. Daghang salamat sa pagbisita namo, Gov. And the inspiration of one of the most beautiful member of the Lady Legislators. Let's welcome Governor Aris Aumentado, our former colleague. Gov, salamat sa imo pagbisita. Let's also welcome to the House of the People, Mayor Nestor Archival, the Mayor of Cebu City, Mayor Jonky Owano, Mayor of Mandaue, Mayor Cesar Didoy Suwan, the LMP President of the Province of Cebu, and the Mayor of Cordova, Cebu, and the RDC Chair, Ma'am Melanie Nang. Mayong hapon, daghan salamat, and welcome to the House of the People. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from 4th District of Camarines Sur, Honorable Arnie B. Puentebella, to avail of the privilege hour.
Prior to that, with the indulgence of the Majority Leader, the guests of the Honorable Paulo Ortega.
I move to withdraw my motion, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, may we request that the guests of the Honorables Congressman Dante Garcia, Congressman Milagros Aquino Magsaysay, and Congressman Kenneth Paulo Tereng, members of the Liga ng mga Barangay La Union Chapter, be acknowledged. They are Honorable Ramon Guillo Ortega Jr., Honorable Mario Directo, Honorable Ruben Camarao, Honorable Geoffrey Hipol, Honorable Edgar Beninsig, Honorable Dennis Comedis, Honorable Edilberto Villanueva, Honorable Reynaldo Carbonell, Honorable Wilson Vergara, Honorable Erickson Valdris, Honorable Erwin Castro, Honorable Bernabe Saberola, Honorable Richard Lopez, Honorable Marvin Cardines, and Honorable Joel Toto Abril.
To the guests of the Honorable Deputy Speaker Paulo Ortega, welcome to the House of the People. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from 4th District of Camarines Sur, Honorable Arnie B. Puentebella, to avail of the privilege hour. I so move. Madam
To
Speaker.
the Honorable Arnie Fuentebella of the 4th District of Camarines Sur, is hereby recognized for his privileged speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon. Diyos maray na hapon po sa inyo kabus. Madam Speaker and distinguished colleagues, today I rise on a matter of personal and collective privilege to bring to your attention the disturbing events presently unfolding in Barangay Salvacion and Barangay San Ramon in the municipality of Siroma, 4th District, Camarines Sur, which we call the Partido District. I do this before this august chamber as a call to protect Partido and protect the people of Siroma. Siroma, a once peaceful town in Camarines Sur, has long thrived in quiet dignity. Its peoples have lived simply with fishing and farming as their main source of livelihood. With security in their homes, confidence in their rights, and pride in their community. But 2 weeks ago, that peace was shattered. On January 28, 2026, numerous strangers, men who refused to identify themselves, who concealed their faces and affiliations, entered the municipality of Siroma and began erecting fences with undue haste. These were not ordinary fences. Within just 3 days, the fences already stretched across vast tract of land, spanning 2 barangays and covering approximately 300 hectares. Despite the blatant illegality of their actions, the fencing operations continue unchecked. Not only did these fences cut into privately owned lands and even timberland, but more gravely, they cut into the lives, privacy, and peace of our people. They encroach upon their rights, their sense of security, and their trust in government. These strangers do not have any permits. This was no prior consultation with the local government or their residents. In fact, these unidentified men refused to give any explanation to the residents whose lives were disrupted. Nakaramdam ang mga residente na malubhang pagkatakot at pagkabahala. Nakaramdam sila ng matinding pangamba para sa kanilang mga karapatan, seguridad at kaligtasan. Ang tanong ko bilang kinatawan nila, paano nangyari ito? At sino ang responsable sa paghihimasok na ito? Madam Speaker, my dear colleagues, I invite your attention to the recent media coverage of this developing incident.
Ito ang Daldagon Peak View, ang tinaguriang Little Batanes ng Partido Area sa Camarines Sur. Pero ngayon, palaisipan sa mga residente at maging sa mga lokal na opisyal ang ginagawa ngayong pagbakod sa ekta-ektaryang lupain sa bayan ng bahagi ng dinarayong destinasyon. Ayon kay Randall, isang residenteng eksklusibong nakapanayam ng Brigada News FM, Enero 28 pa nang mamataan nila ang ilang kalalakihang nagtayo at nagsimulang maglagay ng mga bakod at mga materyales. Nang usisain umano ito ng mga residente at opisyal ng barangay, ay wala itong naibigay na malinaw na sagot kung sino ang may utos nito at kung para saan ang mga bakod. Bago magtapos ang Enero, malawak na ang nababakuran at inabot na rin pati ang mga sakop na lupain ng mga residente. Namataan rin ang pulang helicopter na rumoronda sa lugar.
And walang IDs, ayaw magbigay ng IDs and naka-bonnet sila lahat, ayaw magpa-identify. Tapos since nung January 28 hanggang ngayon, night and day, nagpe-fence lang sila na nagpe-fence. Although ilang beses na namin trinay kausapin and ng barangay captain namin, wala silang gustong ibigay na info.
Kahapon, Pebrero 4, kasama ang ilang opisyal ng barangay, LGU at PNP, tinungo ng mga ito ang lugar at inusisa para maimbestigahan at mapatawan ng cease and desist order sakaling wala pa ring maibigay ng mga dokumentong magpapatunay na legal ang kanilang ginagawa. Ito ang Daldagon.
Madam Speaker, dear colleagues, allow me some time to tell you about the humble town of Siroma. Siroma is a coastal municipality at the tip of the Partido District, the 4th district of Camarines Sur. It boasts of pristine white sand beaches, verdant hills, and scenic views at the par with the best tourism destinations in the country. Within the province, it is known as the Little Batanes of Camarines Sur. It is also rich in natural resources with lush timberland, agricultural lands, and fishing grounds. Throughout the years, my predecessor and I made sure the development of the district shall be for the people, for the generations of families who have owned, tilled, and developed these lands ever since these families have lived in peace, undisturbed, and secure within their rights. Pero noong nakalipas na 2 linggo, biglaan nasira ang katahimikan at kapayapaan ng mga residente at lokal na pamahalaan ng Siroma. Last January 28, 2026, approximately 50 unidentified individuals began illegally trespassing, occupying, fencing, and constructing structures in Barangay Salvacion and Barangay San Ramon. They worked round the clock, sowing fear and suspicion among locals. Alarmed, the barangay captain of San Ramon immediately approached them, request for identification for the mediation at the barangay hall. These men declined the request. At the same time, a concerned resident of the barangay immediately reported the incident to the PNP Siroma station. On January 31, the barangay captain, together with concerned residents, again approached these individuals. Again, they asked these men who they are, why they are there, who hired them, and even simply who pays their wages. Again, they refused to answer. This prompted the resident to proceed to the PNP Siroma station to formally report these incidents and to request for their immediate assistance, but the police never arrived. The Chief of Police himself, Captain Jerome Despuig, has failed to act with urgency demanded by his office and the situation. As the matter remained unresolved, the number of concerned citizens grew. On February 2, community members petitioned the mayor's office for urgent assistance, requesting her to order the suspension of the fencing activity, to conduct the appropriate inspection, to identify any possible violations, and to seek assistance of the PNP. To date, the PNP has yet to issue a report, despite having been ordered by the mayor to immediately conduct an investigation and assist their residents. On February 4, the barangay held an emergency session and issued several resolutions opposing the illegal construction, supporting the position of the community, and seeking the assistance of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, the Department of Agrarian Reform, and other relevant offices to ascertain the nature of ownership of the property on which the fencing activities are being conducted. On the same day, heeding the call of the residents, the mayor arrived and personally inspected the illegal structures and attempted to speak with the unidentified individuals. Throughout the entire ordeal, these unidentified individuals wore bonnets and face masks to conceal their identities and adamantly refused to provide any semblance of cooperation to the residents and even to the local authorities. Madam Speaker, dear colleagues, kung pasukin man ang komunidad ninyo na mga taong ayaw magpakilala, ano po ang mararamdaman ninyo? As soon as the events were made known to me on February 6, I immediately proceeded to Barangay San Ramon, accompanied by the officers from the PNP Regional Office, with the NBI, with the military. With me were employees from the DNR, the Penro and the Senro. We even invited the mayor, the vice mayor, municipal planning officer, municipal engineer, and the municipal assessor. I visited one of the barracks and personally asked who is responsible for the intrusion. One of them finally replied, it was Wanderlust Land Development Corporation who is paying for their daily wages. Not only are they being paid a misty 500 pesos, they appear to be mere pawns acting on a mere nefarious scheme and under the instructions of their superiors, who apparently believes themselves to be beyond the reach of law and oversight. Investigations initiated by concerned citizens and local authorities revealed that allegedly this Wanderlust Land Development Corporation is claiming a total land area amounting to 1,014.92 hectares. 1,014.92 hectares only owned by one corporation. Even the transfer title number 080-202-400-1425. Yan po ang nakalagay sa titulo. The investigations further revealed that the area being illegally fenced, which amounts to at least 300 hectares and counting, falls squarely within the 1,014.92 hectares affecting 2 barangays being claimed by Wanderlust under its purported title. More strikingly, the investigation conducted by the Municipal Planning and Development Office of Seroma, along the various other reports, also determined that the same lands and fences already encroach and overlap with timberland areas. Mind you, timberland areas is owned by the state. At these 2 barangay sites, agricultural lands of private ownership, which are already covered by titles or possessed by residents, lands covered by homestead, patents, Certificate of Land Ownership Awards or CLOAS already awarded by DAR as of June 2025. Kakabigay lang po ng CLOA June 2025. Hindi pa po ito nagmamature. Paano po ito pag-aari ng isang korporasyon? The other land of public domain and even portions of the Pacific Ocean and Territorial Sea. Saan po kayo nakakita, nakasama po sa titulo, ang kadagatan, ang alam ko, ang may-ari ng kadagatan, ang Panginoon lamang. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, dear colleagues, how was a title issued for a property covering more than 1,000 hectares? How was this title issued despite the fact that it covers timberland areas, land owned by the state, lands already privately owned, and even the territorial sea? Who owns Wanderlust? And why does it continue to act with impunity? Madam Speaker, dear colleagues, the information made available to us shows that this encroachment was made possible through the malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance of several public officers. These disturbing events should not have transpired had the responsibility of public officers faithfully observed and performed their duties pursuant to their mandate, the prevailing laws of our land, and the rules and regulations relating to the matter. Their conduct has engendered pressing questions they are duty-bound to answer. To our esteemed friends from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, we ask, are these land public protected timberland or alienable and disposable land? Has this land been reclassified? Because only by an act of Congress that it may be classified, may be alienable and disposable. And I for sure, it's not reclassified dahil po ako ang kinatawan nila dito po sa Kongreso. Where any permits issued from the Wanderlust to construct on timberland areas, to the Land Registration Authority and Registry of Deeds, were the transfers for this resulting title valid? Given this include timberland areas, under what laws and authorities was the title issued? To the Department of Agrarian Reform, are these land allegedly covered by CLOA validly sold to the Department of Interior and Local Government and the PNP, Philippine National Police? Why were these unidentified individual allowed to continue their activities despite notification to the local police of their presence? What steps have they taken to secure our constituents' safety in Siroma? To the Securities and Exchange Commission, who are the directors of shareholders and beneficial owners of Wanderlust Land Development Corporation? To the Department of Justice, does this incident give rise to a possible case for usurpation of real property and violation of the revised Forestry Code? To the Ombudsman, in case public officers are involved, does this not constitute grave abuse of authority and conduct prejudicial to the best interests of the service? Doesn't the inaction of certain offices and agencies constitute negligence and dereliction of duty? Did any public officers act in violations of the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials? Because we, in the 4th District of Camarines Sur, urgently request the assistance of the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability to exercise its congressional powers of investigation and oversight. The exercise of these powers are necessary to help us answer the questions which will allow us to restore peace in our community, to seek justice for both private landowners and the state, and to identify the public officers responsible for the continuing violation of the rights of my constituents in the municipality of Siroma. Accordingly, Madam Speaker, I respectfully move that this matter be referred to the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability for a full and transparent inquiry in aid of legislation in coordination with the DENR, LRA, DAR, DILG, SEC, and other relevant government agencies. The grave and unfolding situation in the municipality of Siroma, Camarines Sur must immediately be addressed. This August Chamber cannot allow the rule of law to be openly tested. It cannot allow the continued disruption of peace and order. It cannot allow the misconduct of public officers in the performance of their duties. It cannot allow ordinary citizens to live in fear on the lands they have occupied, tilled, and protected for generations. It is our solemn duty to protect Partido. It is our solemn duty to protect the people of Siroma. I stand here today not only as a congressman, but as a voice for the farmers, fisher folks, and families of Siroma. Let us answer them with action. Let us answer the call for justice. Let us answer them with courage, for their safety, security, and welfare must remain paramount in the face of this crisis. Public trust requires vigilance. Public office demands transparency. Public power must never operate in ambiguity. If everything was done lawfully, the investigation will confirm it. If not, this House must know. In the light of all the foregoing, Madam Speaker, I ask this August Chamber to act in accordance with its constitutional duty of oversight and to ensure that governance remains accountable to the people. Madam Speaker, Diyos maray na hapon, mabalos po sa Inugabos. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to extend the privilege hour for another 60 minutes to allow other members registered from the Committee on Rules to avail of the privilege hour.
Madam Speaker. There's a motion to extend the privilege hour. Any objection? Hearing none, the privilege hour extended for another hour. Majority Leader.
I move to recognize Madam Speaker, Honorable Laila de Lima, for her interpellation.
The Honorable Laila de Lima is recognized to interpolate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will our distinguished colleague from the 4th District of Camarines Sur yield to some questions more for clarity of what he just revealed to us, which is to me very appalling, disturbing development in the municipality of Siroma.
It's an honor, Madam Speaker. Yes.
Okay. So what do you make out of those fencing activities? First, let us be enlightened, please, as to exactly what kind of lands are being covered by these fencing activities by unknown men.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Actually, Madam Speaker, we asked the MPDO, we asked the Sendro, and even the Pendro. Some of the lands covered are agricultural areas on where meron po silang mga CLOA na kung saan binanggit ko po kanina, kakabigay lang po noong June 2026. And meron din pong part ng fencing is timberland area.
Timberland.
And meron din part na kung saan ang target po nila ang kadagatan na.
Madam Speaker, timberland is supposed to be part of the public domain, which is inalienable, because only agricultural lands can be subjected to disposition, or can be disposed of, or can be alienated. Correct?
Yes,
So,
Madam Speaker.
We
you
are
correct.
talking here about pieces of land supposed to be part of the public domain, which are not considered alienable. But here comes a group of men, and as you further revealed to us, there is this corporation They seem to be acting as agents of this corporation called Wonderland. Is that Wonderland?
It's Wanderlust,
Water.
Madam Speaker.
It's Waterland.
Very lustful.
Has the distinguished gentleman from Camarines Sur, from Partido area, tried to find out already the ownership of that particular corporation? Because I see here a clear case of land grabbing, unlawful occupation, unlawful intrusion into lands belonging to the public domain.
Yes, Madam
So
Speaker.
have we researched as to the fact of ownership of this corporation, Waterland?
Yes, Madam Speaker. In fact, when I visited the place last February 6, actually, it wasn't me who made the research, but the netizens. But I'm still awaiting for the certification of SEC para po hindi tayo magkamali. I want it certified by them para po sigurado po tayo kung sino po may-ari nito. But as of researching, Madam Speaker, when you Google in the SEC, makikita mo po doon kung sino yung board of directors, sino po yung mga director na nandun. But I'm still asking for the certification from the SEC para hindi po tayo magkamali po dito.
So, the good gentleman is telling us that actually has made initial research already on the fact of ownership of Waterland. Only that he is still waiting for official certification.
Yes, Madam
exactly
Speaker.
as to the fact of ownership.
Yes, Madam Speaker. But initially, Madam Speaker, meron na po tayong pangalan, but I wouldn't want to divulge it here. Mas maganda po na duly certified ng SEC para hindi po tayo magkamali.
We can understand the caution of the good gentleman from Camarines Sur about not being able to disclose at this stage the who are the registered owners of that particular corporation. But in the interest of transparency, would the good gentleman be willing to disclose it in the course of the hearing, for example, before the committee? Because this representation fully supports the plea, the proposal of the gentleman from Camarines Sur to refer this matter for inquiry, for investigation before the Committee on
Good governance.
Good Governance and Public
Accountability.
Accountability. I fully support that move to refer this matter urgently to the particular committee, the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. Is the fencing activity, the unlawful and questionable fencing activity, still ongoing at this very moment?
At this very moment, yes, Madam Speaker, I've just spoken. Actually, the Mayor of Siroma is here, Mayor Karen Polinga, and usually they do the fencing during the night time. Habang tulog po ang mga tao, but to answer kung illegal po ito, I will say yes, because there's no permit from the local government for the fencing permit. And actually, the Municipal Engineering's Office issued already a violation telling them that there is no permit, hindi po pwedeng mag-fencing doon, but they are following the local government code. They have to send it 3 times before they issue a cease and desist order. And that's why, Madam Speaker, I'm very grateful to the Regional Mobile Group because wala po talaga kaming tiwala sa provincial director ng Camarines Sur. Dahil po nakita namin yung COP ni pangalan lang, hindi niya po makuha ng mga estrangherong doon. So if there's a violation, yes there is, because there's no permit. And even po, magpakita man lang ng papel sa amin na nagkiklaim po dito ay Wanderlust Corporation, wala pong pinapakita. But when I investigated, when I asked them, that's when we found out the name na sa investigation po, idadivulge ko, not really here. Kasi pinoprotektahan ko rin po yung nagsabi sa akin ng pangalan niya. And makikita po yan sa social media. And at the proper time, Madam Speaker, I will divulge everything during the investigation. That's why we are calling this investigation, including the SEC, to certify na ito pong Wanderlust talaga ang nagkiklaim dyan po sa lupain ng 1,000 hectares na kasamang timberland area, kasama ang mga titulo na may CLOA, kasama pa ang kadagatan na alam ko, Panginoon lang po ang may-ari. So dyan po natin makikita and malalaman, may connivance ba ang ating pong LRA? May connivance ba ang ROD? May connivance ba ang DNR? May connivance ba ang DAR para mag-issue ng DAR clearance? This we have to find out. But as of now, our main objective here is number one, to make the people of Siroma safe, and I have to stand up and protect the rights, lalo na ng ating mga farmers, fisher folks, and mga nananahimik na kapatid ko po sa aming pong distrito, lalo na sa Barangay San Ramon, Barangay Salvacion ng Bayan ng Siroma. And mind you, Madam Speaker, if I may, hindi lang po sa dalawang bayan na yan nagko-complain po sa amin. Meron pa pong ibang bayan na pumapasok po sa amin. Ibang barangay na pumapasok po sa amin. Barangay Pinitan. Po, Barangay
ano po bang
Bagong
ibig
Sirang.
sabihin? I'm sorry, I have to ask this. Ano po bang ibig sabihin na may mga ibang barangay na pumapasok sa Siroma? Ano po bang senaryo yon?
Ang sinasabi ko po, meron din pong mga areas na ginigiba po yung bahay. Pinifensingan po sila. Ngayon pong tumayo kami at lumabas sa social media, marami na pong nagsusumbong sa amin. Hindi lang po doon sa dalawang barangay na yon, may 3 pang barangay. That's why now, Madam Speaker, kailangan ko po talagang imbestigahan dahil we are already forming a legal team. Libre, dahil alam po natin sa rural area, ayaw nila magkaso dahil po mahal po ang bayad sa abogado. But we are very lucky. When we made the call, marami na pong pro bono. They are retired judges na sumasama na po sa amin, sumusuporta po sa ating pong Mayor Karen Pulinga, and may mga abogado, even the LBP, po IBP ng Camarines Sur ay handa pong tumulong para po sa ating mga kapatid sa bayan ng Siroma.
Madam Speaker, I really find it troubling that up to this very moment, if that questionable, that suspicious fencing activities are still ongoing, wala pa pong konkretong aksyon ginagawa yung mga kinaukulan. I can see here a scenario of impunity, yung mga may kagagawan nito. At bakit hanggang ngayon, wala pa yung cease and desist order? There should be a proper agency in government that should be able to already work on the immediate issuance of the cease and desist order, because these activities are clearly unlawful, illegal, because they're encroaching into the lands of the public domain. And then certain areas, sabi po ng ating gentleman from Camarines Sur, na meron na ho palang mga CLOA, yung ibang portions of the area being fenced. So why are they still grabbing those land? So something's very, very suspicious is ongoing here. And the appropriate agencies of government must act urgently. Hindi na nga dapat sila maghintay ng inquiry na dapat gawin ng ating Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. Because this is a very serious matter. Na basta na hindi pwedeng, basta na lang mga pribado na mga institusyon, pribado na mga individual, pribado na mga korporasyon just can do their thing with respect to lands of the public domain which are not supposed to be alienable. So I support Madam Chairman, the call, and I can even co-sponsor that resolution with the indulgence and the permission of the main sponsor, that particular resolution para maimbestigahan po kaagad. Malaman din po kaagad natin as confirmed from SEC records sino ang mga behind that corporation, the Waterland Corporation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and we accept lahat po ng tulong, lalo na from our former DOJ Secretary, who's also from Camarines Sur, whom I trust and have great respect to our Congresswoman Laila De Lima. Maraming salamat po, Congresswoman Laila De Lima.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to refer the speech of Honorable Cuentavilla and Honorable Laila De Lima to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Any objection? Hearing none, the speech of the Honorable Arnie Fuentebella, as well as its interpellations, is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from the 2nd District of Manila, Representative Rolando Valeriano, to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Rolando Valeriano is hereby recognized for his privileged speech.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege to call the attention of this august chamber and the executive branch to the growing economic crisis happening now at the country's major container ports. As a licensed customs broker, I have been closely monitoring these past months the shaking of fault lines and the flows of lava of discontent at the Manila International Container Port, the Port of Manila, and among the cargo transport sector of the country. Napansin natin ang sintomas ng salasalabat na krisis sa ating mga pangunahing pier, sa mga libo-libong cargo containers na walang laman at sa hindi makatarungang pagtaas ng mga sinisingil na bayarin, lalo na ng international shipping lines. Kung hindi ito kagyat na masusolusyonan ng Department of Transportation, Department of Finance, at iba pang mga ahensyang kanilang katuwang, tataas ang presyo ng mga pangunahing bilihin, mga construction materials, at iba pang mga kargamentong papasok sa bansa. Ayaw nating magkaroon ng trucking holiday sa mga pier dahil kapag nangyari yan, tataas ang mga presyo ng mga bilihin at madidelay ang mga infrastructure project at business expansion sa buong bansa. Ito po ang mga problema. Barado na naman ang Manila International Container Terminal at ang Port of Manila. As of February 2, 2026, nasa 89% na ang yard utilization rate sa Port of Manila, habang nasa 82% naman ang sa MICT. We have had the cargo congestion problems at the Port of Manila several times before, but only temporary solutions were applied. The root problems were not solved. The yard utilization rate is the indicator of how much of the cargo terminal capacity is full. Ideally, the yard utilization rate should be between 60 and 70% under normal conditions. The congestion at the container yards is beyond normal. There is a very little space into which empty cargo containers can be deposited when they are returned by the freight forwarders. The ports are running out of space for incoming loaded cargo containers. On top of this congestion at the country's major cargo ports, there are other related problems. One, the international shipping lines lack space for new container yards. The Bureau of Customs and Department of Finance must required and held the international shipping lines have new and spacious container yards. Hirap na po ang mga stakeholders dahil ang empty containers ay naabot ng halos 1 linggo bago maisole, na naging dahilan para bumagal ang ikot ng importasyon, bukod pa sa halos 100,000 pesos na sinisingil ng shipping lines per container nang walang malinaw na dahilan kung bakit. Second, procedures and documentation at the port must be simplified. The anti-red tape or ARTA must work with the Bureau of Customs and the Philippine Ports Authority to finally slash away all the red tape that causes cargo delays and feeds corruption. Halos inaabot ng pagputi ng uwak bago i-release ang dokumento partikular sa Import Assessment Unit ng BOC. It is time for the Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Finance, and Secretary of Trade and Industry to step in. They must swiftly intervene to produce solutions that will be effective and time-bound. Unrest in the cargo sector is a whole set of problems that must be resolved fast and resolutely. This is a set of problems the country does not need as the government works on boosting the economy, creating jobs, boosting household incomes, and energizing business nationwide. Kung pababayaan po nating manatiling barado ang mga pantalan, tiyak na tataas ang presyo ng mga bilihin at babagal ang galaw ng buong ekonomiya. Kaya malinaw pong kailangan na ng kagyat at konkretong aksyon mula sa ehekutibo at ng maigpit na pagbabantay ng Kongreso. At dahil sa mga kadahilan ng mga nabanggit, hinihiling ko po na imbestigahan in aid of legislation ang malaking problema na ito ng Committee on Ways and Means. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that the speech of the Honorable Valeriano be referred to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Any objection? Hearing none, the privileged speech of the Honorable Rolando Valeriano of the 2nd District of Manila is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the gentleman from 3rd District of South Cotabato, the Honorable Ibu S. Tuan, for his privilege hour.
The Honorable Dibo S.
Privilege
Tuan
speech.
of the 3rd District of South Cotabato is hereby recognized for his privileged speech.
Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I rise today to highlight the importance of prioritizing the education needs of our indigenous people communities in the Upper Valley area of South Cotabato. As we strive to provide quality education to all, we must recognize the unique challenges faced by our IP communities. One case tip is to ensure hiring, promotion, and proper designation of teachers who are themselves part of this community. This approach will not only address language barriers, but also foster a sense of inclusivity and cultural sensitivity. Higit sa lahat, ang mga gurong itatalaga sa mga lugar na ito ay dapat may malalim na kaalaman at pag-unawa sa mga tradisyon, kultura, wika, kaugalian ng lokal na komunidad. Magiging tunay na epektibo lamang ang edukasyon kapag lubos na naunawaan ng guro at nagmag-aral ang isa't isa. Also, having an IP teacher in IP community is a powerful way to inspire and empower the next generation. It sends a clear message. With determination and hard work, IP individual can pursue higher education and build successful professional careers. Madam Speaker, I acknowledge the dedication of non-IP teachers who have served in these communities. However, I urge the proper authorities to prioritize qualified IP teachers for area assignment in IP communities where their skills and knowledge can have the greatest impact. Madam Speaker, there are countless IP teachers who have graduated from education program and have passed licensure examinations, yet only very few of them have been hired. These qualified teachers should have been prioritized for assignment essential in IP communities. Let us work together to provide quality, culturally responsive education to our IP communities, promoting pride in their identity and encouraging young generation to aspire for more. Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker. Ibong salamat, Yukimal, Madam Speaker, na Yukimal Becren. Maraming salamat.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no interpellators, I move to refer the speech of Honorable Ibo Tuan to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Any objection? Hearing none, the speech of the Honorable Dibo Tuan of the 3rd District of South Cotabato is hereby referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, request suspension for a few minutes.
Session suspended. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other...
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other member who wish to avail of the privilege hour, I move to close the privilege hour.
An objection? Hearing none, the privilege hour is hereby terminated. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to adjourn today's session and to resume tomorrow, February 10, adjourn until tomorrow, February 10, at 3 p.m., February 10, 2026.
Any objection? Hearing none, session is adjourned until tomorrow, February 10, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.